Welcome to the Realty Classroom podcast, episode number 1.
Welcome to the show that focuses on helping real estate agents build a bulletproof business plan so that they can sell more properties in less time and live a more fulfilled life.
Are you a real estate agent with an entrepreneurial spirit who wants to turn your job into a business without sacrificing your lifestyle, but you can't seem to find the right plan to help you get there? Well, then you're in the right place. I'm Danny Griffin, the founder of the Realty Classroom and the host of this podcast. And to help you take immediate action to build a better real estate agent business, I've created a free jumpstart course for you at freeagentgift.com. So let's get started. In this episode, we're going to cover why real estate agency at all. Now, I know that sounds like an obvious question for a lot of you that might be listening or you've made that firm decision, but be careful of the law of corroboration or the law of commitment, meaning that when you make that decision to do something, you only look at the supporting evidence. In other words, you just want to be right about your own decision. So you start to ignore all the facts and figures as to whether this business is even for you. So although it seems like a simple question to answer, just take a heartbeat for a second. Why real estate agency at all? I think the thing that I see most people say when they get that question posed or they really get backed into a corner is, I love to help people. Helping people is so much fun and, real estate looks like so much fun. And quite frankly, it can be. But the other reason you see is that, real estate agents make a lot of money. And I just want to have my own hours and do my own thing and make a lot of money. Okay, let's take a breath here for a second. Helping people, yes. But when you really think about this, you're helping people with the single largest financial and emotional transaction that they might be ever making in an entire lifetime. So think about what that means. You basically have to be very, very patient with other people's emotions. And that's in the face of how will you react when somebody goes crazy on you or they get all frustrated with this transaction. How will you handle that? So we have this real Molotov cocktail of all of these emotions that are floating around. So as much as you like to help people, this is not like giving somebody 10 fingers over a mud puddle. This is a serious financial transaction. And again, I'm going to repeat that this might be the largest one that most people are ever involved in an entire lifetime. Certainly somebody that's paying cash, that's a pretty big deal. But somebody that sometimes when somebody's putting a mortgage on a property, you don't recognize all the anxiety that comes with that at first because all of a sudden they realize that they're making this commitment to this massive transaction where they are obligated, that there is a serious debt obligation. And a lot of people get scared about that. What if everything doesn't work out? So you're helping people with something that is a significantly large transaction. Now let's go to the making money part. Now, real estate, the National Association of Realtors is a massive private association. In fact, if it's not the largest still, it's one of the largest private institutions or private institutions in the entire United States, let alone other countries that are in North America or overseas, wherever you might be listening to this. Real estate agency is a big business, really big. Which means what? There are trillions of dollars that are transacted at any one point in time. So when you just say that out loud, you know you're going to see serious competition. And where there's serious competition to make money, it's going to be difficult to make. So it's not as if you just wake up one day and say, this is great. I'm just going to leave my corporate job. And I did this, right? You're not just going to leave your corporate job and just go make money. And the reason for that is the next critical point here. Real estate agency is not a job. So it's not as if you go to a corporation and you sign up for a job that pays you X and you get that check at the end of the week. And as long as you show up and do the job, you get paid. See, this is a business for the most part. Think about what an independent contractor is, which is the way that most real estate agents work. Don't get me wrong. I think there are plenty of places where you could get signed on as an employee with a real estate agency, but that's a rarer positioning or disposition to begin with. Most of you will start as an independent contractor. So you think about that for a second. What does that mean? What's the obligation of the real estate brokerage to you. And that is depending on what sort of setup you ask for. If it's a discount brokerage or it's a full service, you're certainly going to get some services, but not business handed to you. Now, if you're part of a team, you might say, well, I do. I get my leads. I get my appointments. Great. That's great for you. But certainly anybody that's spending the money to garner leads, convert them, and give them to you is going to expect a lot more of your money back to them because it's expensive. So what's the point? You just signed up for a business opportunity, and you bet to know where you are going to get that business from and how you're going to convert it. Now, that's just the sale. You have to take into account all of those expenses. Now, a good full-service brokerage, which I'm a huge fan of, again, I get it with the discount brokerage, but you're going to pick up a lot of those expenses yourself. I'm telling you, you better account for everything because it's not just post-split what you're paying for. It's then post-expenses that you have to garner to find the lead, convert the lead, and do whatever else it is that you want to perpetuate the business. So that's not a job. You're coming out of pocket with money just to be there. Now, that begs the next question. Well, okay, great. How does the business work if we're going to get started? There's the big can of worms that we open up. I was blessed enough along the way to do enough homework where I ended up finding a mentor who had another mentor by the name of Michael Gerber. And Michael Gerber's book is something I highly recommend, and I'll do it early in this podcast and often. Go read it. The E-Myth Revisited, as the global title, is known for the primary book, but there is another one for real estate agency. It's actually called the E-Myth Real Estate Brokerage. So think about that for a second, because Michael and a guy that I actually worked for at Realty Executives, the founder's son who subsequently bought the business when I had joined it, his name is Rich Rector. Those guys together put together a pretty good book and a pretty good discussion about the brokerage business. Now, again, I know a lot of you will be agents and maybe brand new, not even an agent listening to this. So you say, well, what does that have to do with me? Everything. Because whether you are an independent contractor as an agent or you're a broker owner trying to bring on agents, it's all the same business. We all have to go find business and convert it into clientele who ultimately become a closing and a past client community where you can accelerate it. So Gerber poses one big question that I really want to make that point in this first episode. How does the real estate agency business really work? It's not as if you can just look at it and guess and say, well, what are you talking about? What's the big deal? I just go out and find somebody who wants to buy or sell and I work it, right? Well, sure, to a certain extent, but there is so much more detail to it than that. It's actually mind-blowing to me. I've been doing this for a long time, and it is stunning to me how many blind spots I still have. Because you see, in small business, most of us never really pause and consider Gerber's question. How does this really work? Am I just taking what I believe and I see and I think, or am I really taking a moment to think about it? And what Gerber talks about is working on it versus in it. See, versus in it, if you're running around with a buyer or a seller and trying to help them buy or sell, that's really working in it. But working on it is what we all should do from the very first beat of any kind of small business, let alone real estate agency. So you want to ask yourself, how does the real estate business really work? And then you can set about mastering the obvious. I don't think anybody should get exasperated by that question and then get mired in details and just get paralyzed. Just start. That's the key point here. Always, you should be able to look at a business from the outset and see its simplified version. In other words, there's a bone structure to everything. Look at, as human beings, we might all look very differently, but for the most part, we have the exact same number of bones, don't we? Business is like that too. So you want to consider, what are the obvious bones or bone structure of the real estate agent business, and focus on that. This is not a business that is reserved for some highest level of education. It is just about getting started and beginning. And that's the point, okay? So in this first episode, let's keep it simple. That's the whole point here. Keep it simple. And I want to do what I call chunking it up. So let's summarize the key point here, all right? Stop and start working on your business by just considering a couple of key points. Why am I doing this at all? And how does it really work? so that I can set about going after and learning the simplest pieces of it and not worrying about what everybody else is doing, okay? So that's the key point here. And remember, you can take immediate action and get started in the right direction with our free video course over at freeagentgift.com. I don't want you struggling. And by the way, if you like what you've learned here, then we'd appreciate it if you would pay it forward and give us a positive review on whichever platform you're listening so that other entrepreneurially spirited real estate agents just like you can find their way here and join us. So thanks for listening to this first episode. We look forward to helping you in the next time. Thanks.
You've been listening to The Realty Classroom with Danny Griffin. Join us next time to continue learning how to build a smarter real estate agent business plan that helps you live a more fulfilled life.